I almost made the biggest career mistake of my entire life this year. Yeah, I almost blew it. I almost ruined my chance. I almost failed. It was so close. Looking back now, I can't believe how close I came to losing out on a really big opportunity. What did I do that was so horrible? That's exactly what I'll detail for you in this episode today. Hi, I'm Tammy. The purpose of the Tammy North Show is to give high achievers actionable content to propel themselves to senior leadership while living a balanced life. Women leading in corporations and large organizations who want to lead with authenticity at the senior executive level have found their community. In some of the more recent podcast episodes, I shared that I'd been going through a process and I'd learned so much, and I had to wait for a really long time before I could share the details, months in fact. But now I know the outcome, and I have to tell you that it is true. I almost made a huge career mistake, possibly the biggest of my life. Okay, so I'll give you the good news right up front. I did receive a very substantial promotion. It was a goal that I had written down in my 2018 and 2019 planners. My goal was to seriously start applying for executive positions like this by the year 2023. And this is a path that I've been on for a very long time. I knew I was heading up the ladder, and I had 3 different executive level mentors who were very directly helping me. They were mentoring me and helping to set me up for success, and I really appreciated them. But I also truly expected that it was going to take a lot longer than it did. Because of these leaders, I received a lot of executive leadership training and mentoring, and I was able to interact with some of the most senior people in multiple organizations for many years, which gave me a very strategic view of our entire organization. And then I made it a point to live up to their expectations and demonstrate that their faith in me was well placed. So you hear me in these podcasts, how focused I am on my goals. The fact that I was offered this position at least 2 years before I even expected to start applying is the perfect example of what happens when you focus and constrain your energy. So wait, doesn't that sound like a positive story I'm telling you? Like a dream come true? At the very opening of this podcast episode, you thought you were about to hear an episode about something I did that was a huge mistake. So yeah, I really did almost blow it. I almost failed. And looking back now, I cannot believe how close I came to losing out on this opportunity. So what did I do that was so horrible? I did the absolute worst thing you can do in this situation. I almost did not apply. So let me tell you about it. I knew the position would come open for about 6 months before it did. I knew a lot about the position. In fact, one could say that everything that I've done in my career over the last 30 years to this point literally made me one of the perfect people to apply. And theoretically, I would be a very competitive candidate no matter who else applied. And you know that I spend a lot of my free time blogging, podcasting, coaching people on their careers, how to rise in organizations, etc. So I have a very strong mindset, and I have tons of knowledge about process, preparation, and even eventual transition into a job. I'm also in the middle of a 3-year executive leadership program where I receive my own executive coaching, education on the application process for these positions, and also mentoring on how to write the package, plus even additional executive mentorship. So there is zero reason I should have hesitated in applying, but yet hesitate I did. I often say that people will let a package get in the way of them applying for something. So when I was young, I was an enlisted sailor in the Navy, and I decided to apply to be a naval officer. And that application process to be a naval officer is one example where there's a very specific package that's required, and you have to submit it just so you can be considered to possibly be an officer. And I've always believed that the package process is one strong filter for all these types of programs. Not because it's really very difficult, but it is a little time consuming and there is some writing involved. And since it's the military, there's very specific requirements, and you do get partly graded on your attention to detail. And I know a lot of sailors who could have been really great naval officers, but they never applied. And I always suspected for some of them that the package process was part of the reason. It seems pretty daunting before you even get started compiling it. And so for this new senior position that I was selected for, the process requires more than just a resume. It essentially requires 5 two-page essays substantiating my experience as it pertains to the new position. So 10 pages of writing in total. And in that piece of work, I have to describe my life's work, so to speak, to even put my hat in the ring for consideration for this position. And I write blog articles all the time that are 5-page Word documents. I do that, once a week or more. I do it in the evenings and the weekends. I do it without even thinking about it. Sometimes I think I'm going to write a 2-page article and then I end up writing a 7-page article. So that's no problem. I love writing. So the 10-page requirement wasn't really a problem. Well, then what was it? What was holding me back? Well, believe it or not, as I assess myself now and reflect upon what happened, it was my limiting beliefs about myself. Yes, me, the one who on this very podcast feed you're listening to now has multiple episodes in the backlog discussing self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and other limiting beliefs. And yet, I almost let my own limiting beliefs hold me back. It's pretty unbelievable, isn't it? If I'm not immune, no one is. And this is the point I want to get to in this episode. It is the absolute most difficult to see your own brain, to see your own thoughts. It's so hard to realize when your own thoughts about yourself or your circumstances are the block. So what was I thinking? What type of thoughts did I have that would keep me from applying for something that I'd been preparing for years? I felt like if I would share some of this with you, that you might recognize these moments for yourself. And I just want you to notice when you need to give yourself a kick in the pants and move forward, even if you might fail. So I was thinking thoughts that went something like this. Well, I should apply. I'm going to apply. But there'll be so many other amazing people who will also apply. They'll have more seniority than me, more experience. They have a larger network. Maybe they have more inherent authority than I do. And even though I know I have a good reputation, so do the other people. And so it's really unlikely that out of all the people who apply, that I would be the one chosen. Another thought I was having, at the time I applied, I was about one level more junior than most of the other people who would probably apply. So since I was so junior, I was thinking I was still a layer below the normal level. So my career goal at the time I applied was actually just to get to that next higher level by 2021. And I thought there was very little chance that they would choose a person from the more junior level. Another thought I had is I'm introverted, and I truly believe that being introverted is one of my most incredible superpowers. I know it, and I have always known it. But yet I do have a belief that other people may underestimate me because of it. And therefore, they might not see me as ready for a position as senior. And one final thought I had that was pretty strong is that what if I do all of this writing, which is pretty time consuming, and then what if I don't even get an interview? And given how robust my life is, which is definitely something to consider, I have a lot going on, that was it going to be worth it to do all of this writing to just find out that I wasn't even going to be asked to an interview? And there was no way I could control that. All I could do is put myself in the ring, and then the outcome would be the outcome. But after some thinking about it, I eventually overrode this thought because I decided that even if it didn't work, even if I did the writing, even if I submitted it, maybe I would get to an interview, maybe I wouldn't, but not applying wasn't going to teach me anything. So I finally decided I would learn a lot by just trying and going through the process, and that would help me in the future with my career, but it would also help me coach other people as well. So one perfect example is this exact podcast episode. I did learn something and I'm sharing it with you now. Okay, so what actually happened? What was the outcome? So you know the end of the story. I did apply, I made it to the interview process, and eventually I was offered the position. So what made me finally sit down and write? And how did I overcome my limiting beliefs enough to make it worth it to spend several days writing? Well, it's not very easy to change your belief. You can change your belief. You can totally change your belief. But a belief is a thought that you have thought so long that you basically think it's a fact. So it's kind of challenging to change a belief. And my executive coach did a ton of coaching with me, and she got me to focus on different thoughts that did fuel me and that I did believe enough to get me into action. And that's where the most powerful uses of a coach. A coach will help you see your own mind and the thoughts that you believe are facts, and they can help you start changing your thoughts toward something that you can also believe that will actually move you into action. I do it for my clients every day, and my executive coach did it for me 100%. And then all three of my mentors, they're all three amazing amazing people, and they were very active in encouraging me to take risks. I think they all had certain expectations for me, and that was one of the most powerful motivators. There's another episode back in the backlog about mentors, but if you don't have a mentor, this is one reason, even if you think you don't need one for some reason, this is a really good reason to get one. We all let ourselves down in so many ways every day, but it's much harder for many of us to let other people down. None of my mentors got to where they are today by remaining in their comfort zone, and it was their job to push me out of my comfort zone. And I will tell you this, I didn't want any one of those three to ask me after the fact if I applied. I didn't want to have to tell them no. After all, I wanted a position like the one that I applied for, and these three amazing people had volunteered so much of their time, giving me advice and listening to me for years. Just letting them down, I just couldn't do it. So please find a mentor. They know when you need to be pushed out of your comfort zone. They will push you out of your comfort zone. And then if you have already reached a certain level of success, please be a mentor to somebody else who is coming behind you. They need you. And then one of the other things that got me writing was you. Yes, you listening to this podcast right now. You were a part of my motivation. As I mentioned earlier, even if I didn't get the job, I knew that I would learn and grow, and as a result, I would have more useful content and be a better coach for you in the future. Plus, I had to prove that when you push past your limiting beliefs, you will amaze yourself. That's what happened for me, and I believe with my whole heart, that's what will happen for you too. I want to be an example of what's possible. And finally, I really did want this position. I had a strong belief that if I actually got this job, that I have a unique set of skills and experience and vision that would make a big impact in an area that I've spent 30 years of my life focused on and that I care immensely about. I'm a big believer that at the end of our life, we will only regret the chances that we didn't take. We won't regret active fails. Like, if you go out and try really hard at something and you don't succeed, nope, you won't regret that someday. You will only think, that was a great story. You'll tell some story about, wow, that time, and I crashed and burned, and everybody will laugh and it'll be funny and you'll move right on. It'll just be a great story. You will only regret when you do nothing at all. I believe that 100%. So since I knew I wanted this position, I started writing with all my heart and soul, and I prepared and I practiced for the interviews, and I decided I was ready to play a bigger game, and I went for it. I wasn't sure what would happen, but I will tell you this. When I finished my package, just the writing and my resume and everything, and I uploaded it and I submitted it, I realized that I had underestimated how amazing that moment alone would feel. As I clicked submit, I felt proud that I had tried, and I felt proud that I did not wait for 2 to 3 more years until I thought I would be more ready. I know now that 3 years from now, I would just have different limiting beliefs. They won't go away. You have to manage your mind every day and push forward in spite of them. Just deciding to be in the arena, to be a person who's playing a bigger game, was sending a signal. Even if I didn't get the position, after the first interview, I was 100% sure my trajectory had been altered. It's moments like those that are the reason you try, they're the reason you apply, and you push past your fear of failure, and you shoot for positions that are out of your comfort zone. Okay, so that's my story. I was promoted to a senior level in spite of almost making the huge career mistake of telling myself no before they could even tell me yes. And knowing what I know now, what if I hadn't applied? Can you imagine? Don't let this be you. Now that you've heard my story, let's talk about you and how you can learn from my close call from almost tossing it all away. As you're listening, is there anything that came to your mind about your own life? When is the last time you pushed yourself out of your comfort zone? Have you ever had a moment like this before where you thought, well, maybe I should try, but you were kind of scared to fail? What did you decide? Did you play small or did you decide to play a bigger game? If you went for it, how did it feel? How did it work out? Okay, now looking back and be honest, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about if you failed or if it worked or did you not apply or did you try? How do you feel? It's okay. And first of all, I do believe that you should just make a decision. And then once you make the decision, just move on and never look back. It's done. You have to do what's right for you. But what I don't want you to do is to want something so bad and for you to write a goal that you're shooting for this thing year after year. And when the moment arises in front of you to take that leap forward, I don't want you to step back instead. Say yes and step into your future. Okay, action time. Okay, so I have 4 actions I want you to take today. Think about your current situation and your circumstances. grab a paper or a journal and write down all the thoughts you have about where you are now compared to where you want to go. And this could be career related. This is a career focused podcast, but really you're an entire person. So any part of your circle of life, relationship, loves, friends, exercise, diet, spiritualism, anything, happiness, whatever. Write down all the thoughts you have about where you are now compared to where you want to go. And circle anything that is a 100% fact. Something you could prove in a court of law, something that everybody would agree about. Something like, there is a car in the driveway. I have a job. I make $30,000 a year. Something like that. Circle the actual facts. Okay, now then everything that you did not circle is probably your thought. And the good news, if it's not a fact, it can probably be changed. Okay, so there's a car in the driveway and you're thinking, my old Corolla is about to break down and I think I'm going to need a new car, but I only make $30,000 a year and I can't afford it. So I really wish I could make more money, but I'm stuck in this job. You see, if you write those kind of thoughts down, that you may have a Corolla, it may be a car in your driveway, you may make $30,000 a year, but saying something like, I'm stuck in this job, that is a thought. So circle the facts, and then everything you didn't circle is probably a thought and it could probably be changed. Okay, then I want you to get a different color of pen and I want you to circle any thought that is negative and seems like it's trying to keep you small. Like, well, if I apply for that, I might fail. There's a job opening. You have a goal written down that you want that job. You can look in the planner. Everybody would agree you wrote that down in your planner. That's all. But then thinking, I will probably fail. That is a thought and it's trying to keep you small. So just notice that. And then those negative thoughts that you circled, go back and see if you can change them to the opposite thought. And even if you don't believe the opposite of those thoughts, like I will probably fail, then the opposite would be, I know they'll hire me. That might also not be believable, but you could think, I will learn a lot if I apply. So think, I would like to apply for that job. I will learn a lot if I apply. See, that's believable and it serves you. And then it causes you to take action that will actually get you to a place where you actually do learn more. And then eventually it will work if you keep it up. So do that action. And then out of the new transformed thoughts that you have, pick your favorite transformed thought, the one that you transform to a more positive version. It doesn't have to be the opposite of the negative one, but just a more positive version. Pick your favorite thought. So we'll stick with the one where I said, I will learn a lot if I apply. So that thought right there, until you actually apply every single day, write that thought down in the top of your planner or somewhere in the top of a journal, on a sticky note, somewhere where you will see it often. I like to write it down on a sticky note and put it on my planner page. And then every time I check my calendar or check what's going on that day, what is my next action I need to do today, then I'll see the sticky note there and I remember I will learn a lot if I apply. And then once you achieve that goal or the next step in your goal, then you can do the same thing for your next step. Think about your thoughts about it, try to change the negative thoughts to something more believable, and then focus on one thought at a time until you complete that thought. And keep doing that. Just use the new thought and take on one action at a time, especially for something you've been resisting that you know you need to do because you want to do it. Even if it's scary, but something you've been resisting because of a limiting belief. And just focus on the new positive thought you created one at a time and then keep moving forward. Okay, and the fourth action, I want you to email me at tammy.north@genuinedrivenwomen.com and tell me the thought that you're going to focus on and the action that you took. Tell me when you got the action completed. I want to hear about how you feel and I want to hear about what you learned. It feels so amazing to get a phone call that you were selected for a job that you applied for. And it feels even better when it's a really big leap out of your comfort zone. This can be you. Don't make the career mistake of telling yourself no before anyone has the chance to tell you yes. You've got this. The worst thing that'll happen is you'll learn something new, and it's really a win-win for you. And my friend, that is a beautiful place to be. You can connect with us on Facebook at Genuine Driven Women, or to learn more about what we offer, check out genuinedrivenwomen.com.